Hello, honeys! Today, this video is a lesson in power of words, power in descriptions, and not framing your way of thinking as the only thought process that there is. To give a bit of context, me and one of my remaining witch friends, who messages me on Discord quite often, we went on a bit of an occult scouring spree. Mostly they were investigating light workers and occultists that they can find on media or online or in other Discord servers. I quite simply kind of gave up on it and just decided I'm gonna live a hermit life. So I mostly stayed out of it, yet some witches still found me on Twitter and I've been engaging with that. So we all did a lot of occult circle running, and as they were sorting through YouTube and sites and stuff, they would send me lists of people that they would be like, I can't find anything noteworthy from this person, but do you find anything useful yourself? So I would run through these people as well, in a way, and I made myself watch one video by Adam Knox because it kind of falls under my category. Demonology, it's my thing. And he's talking about it from Kabbalah's point of view. He hasn't held Kabbalah, he hasn't held Thelema, and it's not wrong per se, but it's kind of like saying, I will talk about sports, and you quite specifically state football, and I sit down thinking we're gonna talk European football, soccer, and then you start talking about American football. It's like, once again, one word, two completely different meanings. The only bad thing is that now you are framing American football as the only football that there is, and I'm just here going, wait a minute, football is kind of what I do, and good on you, but you can't just take the whole of football and go, it's American football only. This is the kind of issue that we're having with this video. And I'm just gonna play some of his video and hope that he doesn't just like copy strike me. I'm aiming for a couple of minutes in the middle. It took me quite a while to figure out what he's on about. At one point I set the video to 2.0 speed. He trails off quite a bit. At one point he sees Callie as this maleficent and evil being as well, and I was like, wow, you kind of are gonna offend some believers of that, some followers of Kali. Like, do not do that. If you're not entirely sure what you're talking about when you're talking about a deity and you're not personally working with them, maybe do not mention that. Maybe it's a good idea to not mention that, honestly.
In order to do this. See, this is where our secret paradigm comes in. Once an adept or a practitioner has moved through all these, so they've got all these other areas in their life sorted out, they've done their basic shadow work, now they're ready to start dealing with the collective shadow, as well as the deeper parts that were far more traumatizing from their past, but they're already kind of stable, they've got the tools, they're strong in their inner strength, they're ready for that. Then they begin being introduced to a new set of narratives. You see, if we study psychology, we look specifically at Jungian psychology, we look at the work of Robert Moore, Robert Johnson, and many of these other great thinkers of our time inside of that, Jung and so on and so forth. We find that all of them say the same thing. The only way we're working with the unconscious is if we're using active imagination, we're getting involved in it. And a beautiful quote for me from Robert Johnson was, if you do not go to the spirit, aka your unconscious, it will come to you in the form of neuroses, depression, and all these other issues. So what are those? Look at that for a moment. Neuroses, depression, anger, hate, betrayal, all the negative emotions are the same attributed qualities that we would attribute to the demons of the Qlipothic tree. One demon is, a god like Lilith is the goddess of lust, and cruelty in certain ways. Samael is, or Adramelech is the lord of insanity and.
The Clipothic tree would be the main thing here, and it is reason why I'm making this video, it is reason why it grated on my nerves, and this reason why I would like you to put your point of view inside the titles when you're making descriptions. Because you're talking about the Clipothic tree, when I talk demonology, I'm talking the Goetia. And I'm talking about all of the people that worked with the Goetia further and made their own versions of it and their own workings of it. All of the people that made dictionaries and wrote down all of the known demon names that have their purposes, and oftentimes these purposes are not even remotely negative. So, for now, I am gonna hold Lucifer and the Hidden Demons, a practical grimoire from the Order of Unveiled Faces by Theodore Rose, which is a book that I based my practice off of, but you have to understand that I took a page. In reality, my practice, for the most part, got to a singular demon and it stopped there. And this is where I report to, like, every single day, and I feel like I am giving off too much information now. I'm not gonna mention them in this video. I'm trying to not mention them and not mention my religion, for it will only cause... There's a lot of controversy mixed into it, and it's not like they actually want to be worshipped or are looking for followers. It's my own personal working, and it's my own personal religion. But this book was very helpful. This isn't the only book that I have, by the way. It's just that it had the most non-fuss working method that still worked. In reality, if you ask me, as long as you have a name or a picture, aka a sigil, you can get to where you're going. Don't need a full working. Path working can be helpful, having a bit of a ritual can be helpful. Once again, I have more of a ceremonial magic books that go into a lot more detail. The Goetia itself is a ceremonial working book that requires a whole slew of instruments that you can kind of substitute, but it would still require a lot of instruments. This one effectively wrote a small imaginary path for each one of them, but you can literally take the name, and as long as you focus on the name enough, or as long as you focus on a sign assigned to specific entity, you should call down what you're seeking. You should feel something. You should get there. You don't necessarily need a specific book or a specific working. But I'm using this book for now. Not saying that it's the only book, just giving you an example. So, for example, if I just pulled who is responsible for what? Agebol, under Amemon and Araton, protect against attack while traveling. Korokon, under Magoth, to bring relief from pain, to encourage fertility. Dulit, under Magoth, to heal injury and sickness in an animal. To endure pain with bravery until healing occurs. These are not negative things. Some of the ways that people can use this is a bit more dubious, for you can use it for glamour, you can use it for cursing, but it's not like you're just working with a thing that is lust or greed or war or is warlike. You are working with effectively a creature. I don't like that term, by the way, creature, and I don't like the term entity either that much, but it's the best descriptor that we have. The word demon has become far, far too wide, and is now apparently incorporating the Clipothic tree, the Goetia, evil spirit, which is the original name of the word demon, all of your negative emotions and feelings and pains. The demon of pain. I am being chased by my own demons, that sort of thing. It became everything negative. And then when you need to sort and you need like a specific bit from it, it becomes difficult because it's a word that's too widely encompassing. And this is my issue with a lot of these words that are dealing with the unknown, that are dealing with what's not currently present, is that they're far too wide and far too widely encompassing. So it's hard to figure out what you're speaking about. But as I was saying, when you're dealing with an entity or a demon, think of them as you would a person. If you look at yourself, do you think you're a single-sided being? No, you're not. You are definitely not a single-sided being. So when you call down something else, you shouldn't expect them to be a single-sided being either. They will have their strengths and weaknesses. They will have things that they like and dislike. They might get upset about specific things. They might get happy about specific things. And you can't predict until you feel that upswing and change in energy when you do or suggest something. Because that's the thing. It's like getting to know somebody. It's not like you're gonna go into somebody called the nurse and just go, oh, so the only thing that you know about is bandages, right? That is the focus of your life. And then you start a discussion about something completely different, let's say movies. And the nurse comments on movies and you go, whoa, you're commenting on movies? I thought that your whole life was bandages. Nobody's whole life is bandages. That's the sort of deal that we're dealing with here. So to make a video of the psychology of demonology, but then go, let me talk about Kabbalah specifically, and paint this as just, I did leave a comment, and paint this as just like that one thing that this is definitely about, it's very misleading if you ask me. It includes this. Thanks for the info. I had a question. Why, if most of a cult is pretty much us getting into the right place with psychology and emotions, why do we need demons or angels? I mean, what roles do they play to assist us? Good questions. So the psychological and emotional health is to ensure we are stable enough to handle more and more portions of our divine or quantum nature. Think of it as strengthening our nervous system to handle more of our shared self. The shared or quantum self that may call the higher self or God's self is the basis of all God's angels and demons. The angels and demons are really roadmaps and stages that reflect their own realization of this Godhead, if you will. And you see, it is fine that this is your personal belief, but my personal belief goes completely against all of that. In my personal belief, demons and angels are beings. They're not necessarily tied to Christianity, they're just different groups of being. That is all they are. That's what I got, what I sussed from all of it. And I do acknowledge that there is a higher self of me that doesn't entirely fit into this body, because sometimes I can get smacked by it, by its knowledge. But unlike some other people's higher self, where they're like, oh, I'm channeling my shadow and they're really dark, or I get this feeling and my personality completely changes. My higher self and my current self are practically the exact same person, which kind of appeared to be weird for some people, except my higher self gets annoyed when misinformation gets spread, and then suddenly I get smacked with a bit of info and I end up having a very long theological debate for somebody for 2 hours straight. And by the way, this is just like me, and not the higher self me. This is not even enough to trigger all of that, but we're practically one and the same as far as people are, but I reject the human whole. And I reject we are one being and we're of one God and we are one mush, because in my belief system, that is the shared humanity energy pool which I don't actually have access to, and I haven't for a very long time. And the more people talk about we are all one and we're all nice big smudge, the more I reject it. And I look weird at the people whose belief system is that. I respect it. I respect your desire to merge back with the whole, but to me that would be a failure state. While to you this could be a success state, which just shows how divergent the whole magical world is and how divergent the occult is. So I cannot tell you that that path is wrong, for that is your path. This is what you're working towards, this is what you're seeking. But in my path, I am working in the completely opposite direction to you. I am working to individualize and to join a web work of sorts. I would say it like that, because every single connection that you form is kind of like more of a string, and I kind of cut off a whole bunch of this life's connections, and it did affect people. I was told that I am very cold and that I'm not like I used to be, or caused some loved ones to have panic attacks because they thought I had died, even though I hadn't, and I'm still the exact same person. I just disconnected them from me. I am only harboring very specific connections to very specific places, but it's individual in a web work, not part of the whole, which is a whole different subset, and a whole different subset of workings, and a whole different subset of where people are going. I would call it the primordial, and I would call it the soul soup, which is where new souls get made from. And it is beautiful that somebody wants to reconnect with that and merge back with that, but that is the absolute opposite of what I would be working towards. And you kind of read about these differentiations when you start looking in the occult. And when you read it, it's fairly surface level, but then when you do get into a specific system, it becomes a belief model of yours, and it becomes a lot more personal, and it is, you can't even express it on more than a surface level, but I automatically have a dislike for this. And it's not to say that the cult of you is a bad person, it's just to say that I automatically have a dislike for this. My specific issue, once again, with this video and with this channel is if you're gonna sit down and if you're gonna make a professional production and you're gonna sit there and explain things how they are, first of all, you should never do that. None of us should do that. None of us should say with absolute certainty that this is how it is, or let me explain the specific things. Start with sentences like I feel, I think, in my belief system, in the Kabbalah, in Telema, in this specific way of thinking, because you can't speak for everybody. You can't speak for all. My system does not speak for that dude. Completely. It completely does not speak for that dude. It might not even speak for other demonologists. It couldn't even speak for other people that work with the same entity as I do. I don't own them. I don't own their free will. I can't declare myself a spokesperson on their behalf. All I can do is explain my own viewpoint. To do any more than that would be to have an ego the size of a mountain. And perhaps you shouldn't. It just makes you seem artificially overinflated. But this has become quite a ramble, because my point was specifically, if you see this video, this isn't the only point of view that exists. Don't look at it and then internalize it and go, oh, this is exactly how it is. But at the same time, don't do that with mine. Another thing that I'm gonna say is if you scroll down through the comments, it's a lot of powerful wisdom here, sir. Wow, such delicious, witty, grandiloquent, and well put together video. Great video, well explained, pure fire, thank you for sharing. And you know what it comes out for me as? Yes, Queen. Yes, Queen. Good Queen. And honestly, I don't even want that in my own comment section. It kind of rubs me the wrong way. It's like, you no longer have people that think or people that are trying to debate you. You just have people that are effectively yes men. I don't like seeing that. It honestly rubs me the wrong way, and there is just too much of that on the internet. So please, if you end up on this video, don't be a yes man. Not for me, not for anybody else. Look at the information, see what vibes with you, see what doesn't. Argue, ask questions. Hey, if you even come in and go, you're a piece of shit, or that is completely wrong, or I do not respect you, I respect your ability to express that opinion more than I would that is a comment section that's only agreeing with me in the most shallow way possible as well, because it's not like I agree with you because of this and because of that and because of my personal experiences. It's just, yes, queen, do not be that, do not do that. Thank you for watching this video. If you have gotten this far, I am gonna be stealing that guy's tags so that whenever people are searching for his video, this video also lands in the description, and perhaps somebody might consider more than one viewpoint. For that is the beauty of life. You should definitely consider more than one viewpoint in your searchings, especially if you're trying to locate what vibes with you. Let's not stare at my own comment. Thank you very much, May. And hopefully I'm gonna see you in my other videos. Toodaloo.